cyber attack against the Ukraine.
Yeah.
I know the NSC said it was too soon to attribute the attack, but could you say where early indications are pointing?
Well, let me first say that because I know there's been a lot of questions, understandably, on this. So let me try to address a few of them as well, if that's okay. The United States and our allies and partners are concerned about this cyber attack, and the president has been briefed. We are also in touch with the Ukrainians and have offered our support as Ukraine investigates the impact and nature and recovers from the incidents. We don't have attribution at this time, and I can't point to any more specifics. I know the Ukrainians also announced and conveyed that they got their systems up and running pretty quickly and that personal data was not accessed. We will continue to, of course, work with them and assess any additional impacts. We're continuing to consult with allies and partners, including Ukraine, on this. You might have also seen NATO's statement as well, which says that they are also exchanging information with Ukraine. So that's where the status stands right now. I think it's important to note the Ukrainian statements on this, which convey very, very clearly that they were able to get their systems up and running.
The U.S. has information that indicates Russia has pre-positioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in eastern Ukraine, as reported by CNN.
Yeah, I do have some detail on this. Let me confirm for you. So as you all have heard us say many times, we are concerned that the Russian government is preparing for an invasion in Ukraine that may result in widespread human rights violations and war crimes should diplomacy fail to meet their objectives. As part of its plans, Russia is laying the groundwork to have the option of fabricating a pretext for invasion. And we've seen this before. We saw this before leading up to 2014, just to note, including through sabotage activities and information operations, by accusing Ukraine of preparing an imminent attack against Russian forces in eastern Ukraine, and the Russian military plans to begin these activities several weeks before a military invasion, which could begin between mid-January and mid-February. Again, we saw this playbook before, including the widespread effort to push out misinformation, not just in Eastern Europe, but around the global community. We have information that indicates Russia has already pre-positioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in Eastern Ukraine. The operatives are trained in urban warfare and in using explosives to carry out acts of sabotage against Russia's own proxy forces. Our information also indicates that Russian influence actors are already starting to fabricate Ukrainian provocations in state and social media to justify a Russian intervention and sow divisions in Ukraine. For example, Russian officials and influence actors are emphasizing narratives about the deterioration of human rights in Ukraine and the increased militancy of Ukrainian leaders. This is all the spreading of misinformation. These media narratives also blame the West for escalating tension, highlight humanitarian issues in Ukraine that Russian intervention could solve, and promote Russian patriotism to encourage domestic support for military action. And finally, during December, Russian language content on social media covering all three of these narratives increased to an average of nearly 3,500 posts per day, a 200% increase from the daily average in November. So it's important to note what people are seeing out there and to call out this misinformation that is being spread to as a false flag operation, and there's a number of tactics that they're using in that regard. Let me go to the back. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jan. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said today that Moscow have run out of patience with the West. So how passionate is President Biden with Russia's aggressive behavior? And another one, the AFP news agency reports that Ukraine proposes three-way crisis summit with President Biden, Putin, and Zelensky. Are you open to such a format?
I have nothing to preview in terms of the next steps on negotiations or talks. Everybody's back in their capitals now having conversations about that. I will note that the president's view and our view is that this is up to President Putin and Russia to determine what the path forward is. We are ready regardless of what they decide. If they decide they're going to invade Ukraine, there are going to be economic consequences that go far beyond 2014. If they decide they want to engage in diplomatic conversations and talks, we are very open to that, and we're hopeful they will do that. But ultimately, it's a choice they need to make. And so I would suggest you ask them that question. Go.
What about the President Biden's patience with what Russia is doing?
Again, it's not about that. It's about Russia deciding what path they're going to take.
Мы, как вы и сами сказали, ожидаем письменной реакции. Наши партнеры, у нас есть основания полагать, уяснили необходимость сделать это быстро, конкретно, на бумаге. и уяснили то, что мы не будем ждать бесконечно, а планы замотать этот процесс, конечно же, существуют, но мы хотим видеть позицию на бумаге, постатейно по каждому нашему пункту в обоих документах хотим получить реакцию. Это подходит, это не подходит, почему. Если это нужно дополнить чем-то, сформулируйте поправки. Если у вас есть что добавить, дайте нам поправки на бумаге. Его спросили прямо, каким может быть ответ, если предложения России по гарантиям безопасности будут отвергнуты. И он сказал буквально, следующий ответ может быть самым разным. Это зависит от тех предложений, которые сделают ему, президенту России, наши российские военные эксперты.